The Succession Contest, a generational battle traditionally held by the monarchy of the Kakin Empire, pitting every legitimate child of the current reigning king against one another in one large battle royale, all to decide who is most suited to become the new leader of their country. It's unknown how many times the Succession Contest has occurred, but according to Nasubi Hui Guo Ruo, the practice of succession was implemented in the early days of Kakin's history, when the land the empire sat on today was no more than a small country made up of constantly warring factions, a nation unable to reach its true potential because of its savagery and disorder. The very first king of Kakin, in all his glory, created the legendary seed urn, a sacred nen treasure that was designed in reference to the practice of kodoku, otherwise known as worm toxin, a type of dark magic originating in Asian culture where intensely strong toxins are created by closing several poisonous insects together inside of a jar and only opening it once one remains. It is said that the insect that survives will not only have the most potent poison of all, but that it has gained all of the poison of the other insects and increased its toxicity significantly. By dropping their blood into the seed urn and proving their unyielding desire to become king, the participants of the Succession War are blessed with guardian nen spirits that seek to not only help them in the contest to come, but with leading the country to glory with everything that comes next. The symbolism behind the kodoku or worm toxin is not lost when it comes to Succession Contest, pitting sibling against sibling in order to find the most worthy among them, the most powerful and worldly to carry the burden of controlling an entire nation. However, there's definitely another side to the Succession Contest, having everything to do with that second part of kodoku, the winning insect absorbing all of the poison, or in this case, nen, from the ritual's losers. Nasubi, the current reigning king, puts emphasis on the first king's actions, saying without the act of succession, the country of Kakin would never have been able to overcome its struggle and become the economic superpower it is today. And this must have some level of evidence behind it, considering Nasubi survived his own succession contest and still upholds the tradition despite having all the power in his hands to remove the practice from history. While we don't know exactly what happened during Nasubi's own succession contest, Anyor Longbao, one of the heads of the Kakin Mafia and Nasubi's illegitimate brother, claims Nasubi was able to win due to his unyielding patience in the face of adversity. We have seen Nasubi's guardian spirit beast, although its abilities and powers are also a complete unknown. For whatever reason, when Hulkenberg attempts to take Nasubi's life in his initial rejection of the battle royale, Nasubi's guardian spirit protects the king from his son's bullet. One might assume that this is just Nasubi's guardian beast instinctually defending its host. However, Nasubi claims it is because he himself is now also a part of the succession contest, and until his role is complete, he is unable to die. When disposing of 12th Prince Momose's corpse, the first sibling to die during the course of the contest, Nagui, King Nasubi's personal butler, attempts to offer his condolences on his daughter's death, but Nasubi seems to reject the notion Momose's death is anything to be upset about, even claiming that her life is shining brighter than ever now that she will become the foundation for the Tree of Kakin, as she lay lifeless within a coffin, seemingly connected to a large mechanism encircled by 13 other coffins. As Momose is locked into this coffin, a fire erupts from the hole it's linked to, implying that the machine will only be complete once all of the other coffins, all 14 flames, are lit and powering up whatever device lies in the middle of this colossal hall. Almost a direct reference to the end of the kodoku ritual, where the final insect devours the remaining poisonous bugs and takes on all of their power. Perhaps by the Tree of Kakin, the whole reason the first king of the Kakin Empire developed this practice was to create this new being more powerful than any of the country's rivals. Not only would the victor be able to defeat all of their siblings in the succession contest, their already impressive strength would be amplified 14-fold. And it's important to focus on that number of 14, at least in this specific instance of the contest. It's unknown how many participants were in past contests, and it's also not stated that there are any really minimum requirements to begin. Although, if this were the case, it would add much more clarity to the king's promiscuity, as well as the contest beginning almost immediately after Woble's birth. To be clear though, if one out of the 14 siblings is supposed to survive, that does leave one coffin attached to the Tree of Kakin unaccounted for. Although, with Nasubi's mention to Hulkenberg about his role in this contest, it can be assumed that that coffin might be for him. Among the seed urn, there are two other sacred treasures housed by the Kakin Empire that are involved with the succession contest specifically. These three regalia, insignia insignias of the country's pride also include the Lotus Anchorite, as well as the Sword of Good Omens. The Lotus Anchorite, also known as the Divine Mummy, is said to be the overseer of the succession battle. Nasubi says that once a person accepts the conditions of the succession contest, a participant is not allowed to drop out, nor is the contest able to be called off. The only escape is death, whether it is from your brothers and sisters or the succession contest itself, as although not outright confirmed, the Lotus Anchorite could potentially be responsible for Kacho Hui Guo Ruo's death, as when both her and her sister Fugetsu attempt to leave the Black Whale by lifeboat, they are plagued by evil and terrible feelings, followed by ghostly hands surrounding them and attacking. The Sword of Good Omens, while its explicit purpose has yet to be stated, is said to be passed down to the winner of the succession contest by the former king as proof of the heir's ascension to the throne, although it could always be just a more polite and royal gesture considering the dark intentions of the succession contest, as well as the 14th coffin attached to the Kakin tree mechanism and Nasubi's quote-unquote role that requires him to survive until the contest's end. It's possible this sword is intended for the new king to usher in their personal era through the death of the old king, putting an end to the previous regime and also fulfilling the succession contest recreation of the worm toxin, empowering the winner of the succession contest with all of the nen of their former siblings and even the massive strength of their father Nasubi. This could potentially explain the first king's ability to overcome all of the warlords in their homeland, growing significantly in power after winning the very first contest of succession against their own siblings and family members, and could also explain the Kakin Empire's continued growth and ability to prosper, as the winner of the succession contest not only stands as the strongest of their siblings, but would gain the abilities of every former king and winner of prior succession, bolstering the Kakin Empire's power every single time this process occurs, and almost acting as an enticement for the new king to have as many children as possible, because there's an even darker, yet a little bit less likely chance that instead of bestowing multiple centuries worth of nen to some heir to the throne, the succession contest stands as a way to pass down that aura of the very first Kakin king, allowing that essence to possess the winner and ensure Kakin's success never falls into the hands of anyone but the original king himself. It's impossible to say for sure, but based on Nasubi's description of the succession contest being for a quote-unquote you, when he describes the ritual to his son Hulkenberg, most likely meaning the succession contest is meant to benefit its participants, not the other way around and benefit the king who starts it. Although we shouldn't rule out the possibility that Nasubi's role in the succession contest is to act as some final obstacle, possibly being an actual participant in the contest of succession himself that once the last sibling has emerged, fights to keep the throne in his name and gain all of the power from the Tree of Kakin for himself. This would fall completely in line with his character, based off Anyor's idea that Nasubi was able to win through pure patience and manipulation of future events alone. By removing the fact that he himself is a possible enemy to all of his children, he can wait to the end of the contest and strike his final child down while they least expect it, regardless of what the overall result of the ritual is. The darkest intentions of the succession contest and all of its origins that surround the kodoku worm toxin stand to expose its worst possible secrets that might not have been told to us directly or are just explicitly out in the open. The Lotus Anchorite alone shows that we are seeing the effects of these sacred treasures before even finding out about them. So with the reveal that the three regalia basically hold the key to the succession contest in the Sword of Good Omens, and the fact that Crollo believes the three sacred treasures are being guarded even more heavily than the King Nasubi himself, a lot of these theories could stand to be proven correct. It's very clear the king himself does not seem to be long for this world, something that can be assumed based off of all of his actions going forward, and the fact that only he alone knows what really comes at the end of this ritual. Nasubi might know full well that he's going to die, and has already accepted this. This would also make sense if ensuring the continuation of the ritual is even more important than the life of the king itself. At the end of the day, it will all become feed for the Tree of Kakin, fruits for the new regime to devour once they have taken over completely, or an even more sinister way to ensure the original king gains as much power as possible. Whoever the winner of the contest of succession might be. An even better question is what happens if every generation of Kakin's power falls into the Beyond Netero child, hidden in plain sight and infiltrating this war of succession. Could this be what Beyond Netero Zoro has been after all along, stealing the power of an entire nation's history, all so they can be as prepared as possible for the hellish threats that will come on the Dark Continent? Is the entire Kakin Empire just a stepping stone for Beyond's journey into the unknown? Only time will tell. Thank you all so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe so you don't miss any future Hunter x Hunter videos, and comment down below what your thoughts on this whole theory is.